Well, hi, good morning, and thank you so much for joining me here in my shop. Today is March 16th, and it's below freezing outside again, and I don't know what happened this spring. It's out there somewhere, though. So, what about this record player now? Well, I'm highly motivated. I think there's value in this guy. I don't mean sell him for $1,000. I mean we can get something. It can be made to work properly. Going to set the speakers aside here. It's almost 100%, but it still has a problem that it really detracts from the record player, and that is it doesn't set down the tone arm in the proper place on the record, and that's what I want to correct today. Now let's just pull it here. So normally what happens here, let's just go over it. The record player needs to know what size record is being played on it. There's three basic sizes: a big 12-inch record, a 10-inch record, which a lot of 78s were 10-inch records, and then the small 5 or 6-inch record, I can't remember the size, 45 RPM records. So three sizes, and the record player has to detect what kind of record's being dropped. So the way it does this, because you could have a 12-inch, you could have two 10-inches, you could have a 45 in here. Actually, that would be kind of dumb, because basically the record player is playing one speed, so all your records you're going to drop should be the same speed, or you have to run over and adjust the speed. That's not going to happen. So, but I guess theoretically you could do that, and the record player would accommodate different size records coming down. It would move. The speed would be wrong, though, I guess. When the record drops, I don't know if I can really demonstrate this properly here. Okay, when the record drops, if you watch right here, it's pushing this lever, and that's telling the record player 12-inch record. And that record player should drop the needle here. There's probably a fine adjustment somewhere back here for adjusting it just a little bit, but it's actually dropping it way down here. In fact, it's coming over all the way to here and then coming back to here and dropping. It's a really kind of strange behavior. If the record's not 12 inches, then it won't hit this lever. And now it knows, what the record player knows is it's not 12, but it doesn't know if it's a 10-inch or a 5-inch or a 6-inch, whatever it is. The way it knows that is with this guy here. So this little thing will come up and feel for a record. They actually feel it. If the record's not hitting that, but this thing can feel it, it must be a 10-inch record. But then if it's not hitting that, and this thing can't feel it, then it must be a 45. And somehow these mechanical motions are translated into that varying action. That's pretty cool, eh? I mean, it's a simple mechanism, but and also I don't think somebody thought this up overnight. They didn't wake up in the morning and go, I know how this is going to work. There's a long history of record players, automatic record players being developed. And I imagine each one just went a little step further and they figured out a little more about how to make these things do what they do. I'm not going to bother demonstrating it because it was absolutely consistent. So I know it does what I'm saying. So I think we need to take a look at the mechanism. Things start getting a little awkward doing that kind of stuff because, of course, everything's underneath. Okay, that's good. That's even better. I like that. Yeah, that's really good. So how would we figure out how this whole thing works? The business end is up here. I have not re-lubricated this. All I did was spray it with some WD-40 a little while ago in hopes that everything loosened up. And so first thing I'm doing is I'm just looking for things that look like they're stuck. Like See right in here? There's a metal piece here. I think you gotta get a little closer to really see these things. And it looks like the light is flashing off it pretty bad. That's a little better. So I see a spring, and I see a part here, and then I see this large plate, and I see this part slipping under it. It's a plate on plate. This is the kind of thing that sticks right here. This is probably the pivot point right on this. And I don't know. Is it supposed to move? I don't know. It looks like it. It's got a spring on it. Maybe not. Well, maybe it's not supposed to move. Okay, I couldn't get any impression at all of movement in here, so I'm going to leave that. Eventually what I'll do is I'll operate the record player very slowly, and I'll watch the parts move, and we'll figure out for sure then what is what in here. And also I can't necessarily move things very much because the record player is kind of in a state, and it's not going through its revolution. A couple of very fine springs here. A little tiny guy there. So somewhere there's going to be a ramping plate. I think this is it right here. What I would call a ramping plate. Do you see that? It's hard to see again. It's on an angle. It's tipped up like this. It's not a flat like most of the stuff. It's tipped up. Especially the very front edge of it is really tipped up. So this is on this big plate, which is made to move. And right under here is a pin, or the pivot point, or the pivot point, I guess, of the tone arm. Not the up and down pivot, but the back and forth pivot point. And so that tone arm is. How can I show this? I need a tone arm. Somebody got a tone arm here for me? There we are. Tone arm. Cartridge. Back here's the pivot point. There's something going down into the record player. Down there. This is a terrible explanation. I'm going to stop it. Yeah, something going down there. Yeah, I realize as I'm explaining this, there's a couple different ways this mechanism works, but I'll explain this part of it and the way it works up on top. I won't go into too far. But there's a pin coming down through here. When this plate slides over, the angled plate pushes the pin down. The record player's upside down right now, so in fact, the angled plate pushes the pin up. And when it pushes the pin up, the tone arm lifts off the record. This is what lifts the record. I'm sorry, lifts the tone arm. Well, there's bad contact under here. You can't see it, but it's just a plate with a pin dragging over it. And so often there's a lot of lubrication right in here. And, it's not completely glued up, but it's pretty close. So I'm going to just re-soak that a little more. WD-40 here. And the object is to soften up the oil that's there. I'm going to be getting rid of it shortly. I did this earlier, but I guess a lot of the WD-40 is dried up a bit. Now, still don't know what it is that's in any way interfering with the operation of the record player. So we're going to have to do some practice movements here. Let me put it back up this way. Practice movements. So I'm going to set a camera to view the critical operating area, which is where we're looking down under here. Let's just see how this is done. So this is the pin I was talking about here. That goes up and down. There's nothing wrong with this. I'm just pointing it out. Seems to work fine. And it'll push up and down on this side plate here. this little wing that's on the plastic housing here. There's the, oh, what's going on here? Oh my, this isn't right. I don't think that's normal. Never felt one that's loose like that, but you know what? This is in a slot. The cross piece here is in a slot. It can move. I don't think I've ever noticed that before. It seems like the spring and whatnot are pulling it into one position, so it's not wandering around or anything. But that's a little odd. I don't think I've ever noticed that. But it's not a problem because you can see the look at that. They've got grease in there too. Grease that. Often there's no lubrication in these parts. They're just not tight, and the lubrication in the long run starts working against you, right, when it dries up. Okay, well, I'm not going to worry about it. What I want to do is I want to move this around and watch underneath and actually operate the mechanism. But rather than drive this with the motor, I'll just drive it by hand. I'll just do this, and I can watch the mechanism operate. I need to get the camera in place so we can do that. So the objective here is to get a little more familiar with the operation of the mechanics underneath the record player. And you see I have a camera sitting here looking up at this back part of the record player. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick this tone arm up and I'm going to go like this. And we're going to watch what's going on underneath and figure some stuff out, maybe. Okay, so we're looking underneath, and I'm going to pick up the tone arm, and I'm swinging it back and forth. You can see all that is moving while the record's playing. All that stuff. Now, is there something about that that would have some control on where the record cartridge goes in terms of when you start the record player, how far over it goes? Some curious parts here, but we're just looking at a camera. Well, that's a spring. I have my finger on a spring right there. What is spring loaded? So something about these record players is that while the mechanics are engaged, if and the tone arm's on the move up above, let's say you're just starting to play a record, and now the tone arm is lifted up and it's moved halfway across, and you decide, I don't want to play that record, and you grab the tone arm while the mechanics are trying to drive it forward. If steps weren't taken, then that would ruin the record player. There's some fragile parts here. You're holding onto the tone arm. The motor has a lot of power because of the gear ratio here. Something's going to get pushed, bent, something's going to happen. And that's almost guaranteed. Eventually somebody's going to block the tone arm during its move, accidentally even, and ruin the record player. You can't let that happen. So there's ways in which this is lightly engaged with the mechanism that's moving it over and dropping it down. It can be slide plates, various ways, a little bit of pressure on these plates, and they stick together. But if you were to push one, it would still slide over the other, and nothing bad would happen. Something like that, a clutchy sort of arrangement. So we'll see that down under there somewhere. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to lift this up and down. We're going to look at that mechanism. Okay, you can probably already spot it. There it is there. That's just going up and down. And if I rotate it, I can't quite see here. It's got to be doing some kind of... Well, I don't see much moving. Oh, there's some... Oh! So there we are. So now what I'm doing is I'm the record player thinks there's records on the spindle waiting to drop. And you can see this spring-loaded thing is pulled up because all the records are holding it up. Now the records go, it comes down, 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 down. We just played 6 records, by the way. Now we're down to the last record. So now it's going to drop the last record, and the overarm I'm holding is free to drop. As it goes down, it begins to push those levers in the back. And that's the message that the record is over. Or there's no more records to play. Not the record is over. No more records to play. Seems to work fine. I don't see anything offhand. Looks funny. Okay, next thing to fiddle with is this thing. Oh, guess what that is? So I'm moving. You don't have to guess. I can show you. As I get my foot off the camera cord here, it's this guy. This is the feeler. Is there a 10-inch record there? It would also feel it a 12-inch also. Is there? And where do we go here? So they're related. They're connected together. There's quite a bit of mechanism going in there, isn't there? There's that reddish looking little thing. Okay, what about this one? So this is the I'm a 12-inch record. Okay, wait a minute. You know what? I think let me just get the overarm out of the way here. So now what I'm moving the 12-inch sensor. Doing that, and underneath. So what's really happening, I think when I'm dropping the tone arm, oh, the tone arm knocks that piece back too. I wonder why. Because that's interesting now. So a dropping record knocks this back, and this thing knocks it back too, when there's no more records to play. You know, I'm not kidding myself. I'm not going to figure all this out. Like I said, these mechanisms evolved over time, and the people involved with the design and evolution of them, they have a very deep understanding of all this stuff. And just looking at it like this is pretty hard for us to, anybody to sort of figure it all out. They're all a little different. They're all kind of the same, like all these rim drive. Actually, that's not even true. There's 2 or 3 styles, and then there's many variations of the styles. If I can put that. And maybe there's more than 2 or 3, I don't even know. Okay, we got to move some stuff here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be the motor. Okay, first I'm spinning the platter and nothing should happen. The platter is completely disconnected from everything. It's just spinning up here. And now I'm going to flip the lever to call for a record to be dropped. And now I'm going to spin. I'm spinning the platter. Oh, okay, so we've engaged in something here. Unfortunately, I can only go in one direction. This whole big plate is moving. And you see that there's the ramping part I was talking about earlier, right in the center of the screen there. And the pin is probably in contact with it. And then that is going to probably swing over and ramp that pin upwards. So it's lifting up the tone arm. It's lifting up. Just watching the tone arm. Okay, something more is engaged. Now, of course, under these circumstances, with no record on the record player, the tone arm should get the message that it's a 45-inch record. Because it won't find out it's a 12 and it won't find out it's a 10. So this is a bit of a false test here. The tone arm is still not moving forward. I'm still turning the platter. Nope. The tone arm just jumped forward. You just push it back a bit. Let's It's interesting. I'm moving the tone arm and I'm seeing nothing move underneath here. I imagine maybe that's the slip clutch thing sort of I was talking about. I'm just slipping it. Let's go forward. Okay, now it's really starting to move. Here, look, I'm just barely moving the wheel. And it's moving quite a bit. Okay, let's watch it underneath. Wow. The tone arm now is gone right over the record, and it would be in the center area of the record. It's in proper location. It's dropping. It's coming down, so you see things are, the ramp is going back. Now the tone arm has just shifted back to roughly the right place. A 10-inch place, it looks like. There's some pretty ugly looking lubrication there I'm looking at, up above the ramp. Okay, so I'm going to grab the tone arm, I'm going to move it. It moves fine. Nothing is really jammed up in there. Look at that egregious looking lubrication up in there. It feels fine. Who's stuck? Who's stuck in this? Okay, let's keep going. The problem here is I'm going to have to put the camera down because the needle's going to come down on the platter. That's not good. I need to catch it. Okay, right there. Okay, that's me moving the tone arm away so it won't get damaged. The needle won't get damaged, and then we'll continue going down. Okay, so there was a little click there, and I think there's a moment where the tone arm is essentially released from the mechanism. So the tone arm becomes free to do its thing, and it's no longer dragging a big pile of mechanism around. And that's all it's dragging now. I can't even feel it. If you move the tone arm, you have a hard time imagining that much metal is moving underneath. So what's that part right up here? What does this do? You know what? It feels sticky. Like I just moved it, and it just seems to, you know, wherever you put it, it sticks. What is it? Oh my gosh! Looking at my finger in that camera is really not helping me work my hand properly. So some of these parts are they're not supposed to be completely loose and free and easily moved because of that clutching thing I was talking about. I have to look with my own eyes. I can't do this. Well, I can't see under there either. Okay, I got it. I don't know. What? It's supposed to be somewhere in particular. It must be hooking onto something at some point. But it certainly isn't loose. So you see, this could be something that's not snapping back to its right position. It's got that spring under it there. What have I done to it? Oh, now it doesn't want to move. Okay, let's run the whole thing again. I'm going to run it faster this time, closer to its normal speed. Still doing it by hand. Okay, so... Okay, here we go. Hold still. Well, that was pretty... That was really interesting. And the needle dropped on the platter I wasn't watching. So that's me putting the tone arm back. And the click there was the release, the last release, and now you can turn, spin the platter. Nothing happens. Remember I showed you the gear with the teeth missing? So that's gear has found its neutral spot. Platter free. So far I haven't got a clue as to why it's not setting down correctly. Now look at this bar thing here. What the heck's going on with that? Oh my gosh, I really can't. Yeah, here we are. What's this thing supposed to do? It's got a little. Is that a slot? Looks like a roller on the end of it. I think that maybe this is fixed in place, and this plate is rotating. Let's go again. Okay, I've engaged the gear. Anybody look stuck? Okay, tone arms come right over to the middle again of the record, or the end. Now it's shooting back, and it's ready to play at what would be probably a 45, which would be right. I wonder if this thing's fixed itself. That looks pretty egregious. Right up under there too. Now this piece is loose. Oh, I don't know what maybe that's a spring I see sticking out. Right here. I think that's part of a spring. Okay, we've gotten absolutely nowhere, but it's fun looking at how these mechanisms operate. Let's let her rip again. We'll let her go. Okay, so I'm going to put it back. I'm going to push the reject. It thinks it's playing this record right now, so I'm not sure. Nothing happened, so it didn't catch. Okay, next thing we're going to do is stop for a little bit of coffee, and then I'm going to put the motor on, and we're going to let this thing run again and again with the motor. Now that we're a little bit familiar with, what's moving what, sort of, a little bit. Okay, let's let the motor drive it here. Speed. I want it on a slower speed, I think. I think it's on 33, I'm not sure. And we can see the mechanism through this camera. And good luck on trying to spot what's happening, because it all happens kind of fast. But I think we do this a couple of times. We're going to be able to start figuring out what is not operating, that the record player cannot tell the size of the record. And that's really what we're after. Okay, we're just going to watch full screen underneath. And I'm just going, the record player's plugged in, the power's on. I'm just going to push the go button here, and we'll watch. Okay, come right across and kind of zigzag back and forth a little bit like this. Whoops, I did. I triggered the end of the record. Okay, this is good. It's going to keep doing that. Shouldn't have done that. The overarm is down. Hey, that's a hint. Now I'm going to move the tone arm and trigger the end of record effect. There it goes. And it come right back over again. Oh, I knocked it. It's starting again. Okay, anything not moving? Just keep watching here. Here we go again. What? I got my hand on this too. I'm interfering. I'm going to take my hand away. So you can hear it playing. It's playing the last quarter of the record. So it's set down right here. We could assume this is the 45 position. what's significant in this spot. Whoops, I triggered it. What's going on way down here? You hear the ticking? Ticks every time around. I believe that's the velocity sensor being kicked back. Of course you can't see it. Here we go. I'm going to trigger it. It's just totally misbehavior. Total misbehavior. Anybody see what it is yet? I can't spot anything that I would say, oh yeah, there it is. It's got to do with how far it pushes the tone arm. Let's go back here again. They come right around this side. Okay, I'm going to move the tone arm and trigger the end of record mechanism. It just goes right over to the... Try it again. Let's go one more time here. So what exactly is controlling how far over it goes? Is that a little hook piece on the top there? Oh, I triggered it again. The hook piece I'm talking about is that piece that was manipulating this piece. You can see this one comes over. Oh, jeepers, I can't. I can't look at a TV screen and move my finger right here. This piece. No, here it comes. What happened? Did I bump it? You see, it kind of grabs that hook. Let me grab the tone arm here. So this would be at the start of a 12-inch, and this is over at the end, over this way. So this thing should be ending here if the 12-inch system is triggered. So we're gonna put the record up. See, as long as this tone arm is down, I think it thinks there's a 6-inch record on there. I don't know. Okay, so we're gonna drop it. When we drop it, it's gonna bang this guy here, which I'm banging with my finger, and then this thing over here is gonna lift, but it won't be able to lift. Oh, you know what? It's a little sticky. That's an interesting operation. Sticks up, sticks down. It has like a hysteresis, sort of like a light switch. You know, on the wall, you switch it one way or the other. It doesn't flop back. It sticks. This is the same sort of thing happening here. Feels fine though. Okay, drop that record. Here we go. I still hear the clicking. It can't be the velocity sensor at this time. Something else is clicking. Fire one. Clicking stopped. Tone arm did its usual misbehavior. It's set down here. It should have set down way back here. Okay, we're going to do something else here with the video. Try to make this easier to watch. Overarm is down. The machine should shut off. No more records to play. Oh, that's a new behavior. It's not picking up. It's getting kicked. What is going on with this? This up and over. Well, that's going to change this mechanism connection and all that stuff. Let's try it again. Now it's supposed to think permanently there's a record to drop. It still behaves exactly the same. Like you're not getting the message about the 12-inch record. That's part of what's going on here. Let me do it kind of manually. Okay, so it thinks it's going to drop a record. I don't know what to think here. It just seems like such a simple thing. Could it be an adjustment? An adjustment is just so far out. What adjustment? There's usually a little adjustment, just moving it a little bit. Not this kind of distance. Maybe something is completely wrong in how it's put together. This is wrong completely. That it's twisted on. I don't see how that can happen. I don't know. I'm really fishing for ideas here. What it could be. I think it's got to go back to bad lubrication, and here, let's do it automatically. Of course, it won't shut off, will it? There's a funny little pop right over here too. Now it should shut off. There's that pop, and over she comes. The interesting thing is, not only does it set down here, but it swings way over too far, as if the whole tone arm mechanism is operating over here when it should be over here. Like an adjustment. Like a big adjustment is wrong. But again, I don't think there is such an adjustment. Let's cut the power off here. First I'm going to put this in the neutral position. It returns here. Now a lot of these, when they are returning here, they're also resetting the slip clutch to the right place in case it's been disturbed somewhere. It comes back, kind of hits a limit, and then kind of resets everything. So it may not be too surprising. It can't go too far this way. Although you'd think if the whole mechanism were tipped, then this would be trying to go on the rest about here, not back here. So it can't be that the whole mechanism is shifted, which is probably not even possible to have happen. By the way, these overarms, this one is rigid steel. This is really hard. So you could probably get away with lifting it here, but it causes a binding back here when you lift like that. It's better to try to lift it right back here. And a lot of these are plastic on other record players, and you're going to break it if you're not careful. That wouldn't be good. Okay, power's off. This is locked. Let's take a look again. Yep, there it is. So the interesting mechanisms are all down in here. Interesting in the sense that this is where the size sensing goes on, and we really can't see what it's doing. Ultimately, I can push that little lever up here. I think it makes something happen. Whoa, whoa. Where are you? What happened? I lost sight of it. It's retracted. It's retracted. It's retracted because the overarm was down, so there's no records left to play. So you can see how I lift the overarm. Just everything moves just so freely. There isn't a lot of there's no lubrication in here. There probably shouldn't be. So again, the arm, when it moves, can the arm turn relative to this plate? Yes, it can. Okay, but there's a spring load that brings it back to its proper position. So that's the clutchy thing. It's not really a clutch. It's some kind of position that's controlled with a spring. So if you move the tone arm to an inappropriate position relative to the mechanism, the spring gets stretched. When you let go, it just pulls the tone arm back to its proper place. That preserves the mechanism, keeps it from getting busted. That's a swinging way down in there. This piece here is actually going all the way along down to here. And this is part of the trigger mechanism at the end of the record. So as the record plays, it pushes this bar forward. The record tone arm's in the appropriate place for this mechanism to pick up, and it's all appropriate. So in other words, this plate is in the right place with the pins and stuff pushing here. The tone arm's in the wrong place relative to this moving plate. But how can that be? I mean, how can it be in the wrong place? I mean, there's no options here for adjusting it, is there? Maybe I'm wrong about it. Oh, what's gonna happen here? Things are really mixed up. So if we look under here and we ask ourselves, could there be something wrong under here? Well, again, how can it be? It returns to the right spot. It returns to the right spot. There's a little adjusting screw here. And that is probably the set down point control. This tone arm cannot move relative to the bracket, well, just a little bit, but it cannot move relative to this bracket and this bracket. Wait a minute. Is this a sliding plate deal right here? Let me get a closer look at this with the other camera. The sliding plate deal is, I'm trying to refer to a clutch. Clutch arrangement. What do we see here? I'm going to just fix the focus here just a sec. I see a large nut. Yeah, I thought these two plates maybe they slide, but I don't think so. Where you loosen this nut, position this thing once, and then tighten this nut, and you're done. Because that is what it's rotating on. So the motion's limited by a collision up here of the plastic housing. Of course, I have the tone arm way up, so it's not in its normal position. Okay, so if we put it in its normal position, try to keep an eye on things here. That's much more normal. Now what's that spring doing there? So here, see, I've moved the tone arm. Oh, beyond its motion, it's just right up. It's these slotted things that are actually allowing some play. They just drag the needle. So is that how they protected the tone arm? If you, that could be it. That could be the method they used. It seems like a really sloppy way of doing it, though, doesn't it? I mean, this whole thing's wiggly, and now we see what the spring is for. The spring. Oh, wait a minute. You can't do that. I gotta move the camera. The spring kind of looks like a... Well, that's kind of weird looking, isn't it? It's like a spring that's been bent out in the middle. Is that supposed to be like that? Oh, so I think that's what's pulling the tone arm back. You can see the adjustment screw here. So this is so when the tone arm comes back over the rest, it has a completely free movement right here, and if it gets to this point, it's way past the it's way past the where it's supposed to stand. It's way past. At this point, this springy thing, I can't imagine this has any bearing on anything at all. Bearing, well, that's a good word to use. We're looking at this stuff. So, it really can't be that the plates here, the two plates called the tone arm plate and the record player plate that are screwed together with the big nut over here, have somehow slipped into an incorrect position. I can't see it. I can't see how that could happen because the machine sets back on here. There's got to be something underneath going on. Oh my gosh. Okay, I need a new approach here. Maybe even trying to find the service manual. Sometimes the service manual has troubleshooting in it, but the troubleshooting isn't. They aren't thinking about a record player in its 60th year of life. That's not what's in the heads of the engineers when they're writing that stuff. After 60 years, there could be some concerns that would never come up earlier. They don't bother writing about it because they don't even imagine it could ever happen, whatever that might be. Yeah, service manual. I think I've got to resort to that. Okay, I'm going to focus my attention on the mechanism down in here. This is the thing that seems to operate differently depending upon which of the size levers has been hit by the record going down. So we'll take a closer look at this with the other camera, and I'll show you what I discovered. So you can see a spring here. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to retract this. Let's see what's supposed to retract something. Well, yeah. Let's see, this goes up. Well, it is doing it. I thought it was not coming back. Oh, it's not coming back there. This is all loose. Now the record player is not in its right position, so in its right position, gravity would help drop this. Right now it's fighting gravity, so. It just all feels, it doesn't feel like anything's stuck in any way. Is not right. So I have this lever here. This has got to be part of the picture. This lever is pulling against this spring. This feels a little sticky. Maybe where would you? Oh boy, look at the stuff in there. That'd be the problem. like these parts to kind of snap back to a position. Oops, put my finger in the way, but this just doesn't quite. Now there's another part that's moving there. It looks really sticky. This one. Up in here. Hey, fingers. Again, I'm watching the TV screen and it's just... I just whip a bunch of lubrication down in here. It's dry as a bone. Nothing feels really... Oh, that does actually feel like it's stuck there a little bit. Don't know what it is even. We'll throw some... throw alcohol down there, because the alcohol is going to evaporate away, so it won't be left. Oh my gosh, there's a pile of mechanism down there. All in behind this plate. There's a little stuff getting... let's be bold in here. We're going to hit it with some WD-40 down in behind there. And I just don't like kind of shooting in the dark. It's not my... This one here. Okay, I can see the pivot point. Seems to come back all the way now. A little far-fetched to think that little bit of oil did that. Seems very snappy. How about this guy? He's snappy. Okay, snappy guys. How snappy are you? So there come a point where I'll just say, well, I can't do it. I can't make this work. And the reason I would stop is because the record player is usable in its current condition just by using it manually. You're just not getting the thrill of the automatic feature here. Let's see if we can be thrilled by it now. Okay, record. The tenants, visions of our future. Apparently, I was talking to the guy who produced this record just a while ago. He's a buddy of mine. And they produced 2 or 3 more records out there. They were a going concern, but then I don't know what happened. Somebody got a woman pregnant. I don't know. I don't know. But they never made it to the big times. Okay, so power on. Ladder still. You gonna do it, buddy? What are you going to do? Oh. He doesn't think there's a record there. Now, it should have snapped right off. This should have popped back, but it did not. Let's do this. We're going to tell it. Wait a minute. Didn't it drop this record? Did I not drop it? I did not drop it. Here we go. Oh, better. Better. Oh, we're in the ballpark now. Let's just get it to go again. No, it should shut off now. The final click, and this thing resetting back to here isn't happening. I don't know. I shouldn't have done that. I may have set the mechanism here. 12. Nope, 10. So this means the sensor under here is operating because it's lifting up and feeling the record and knowing it's a 10. So we got part way there. We just got to get the 12-inch one going now. And it should shut off. clunk. It doesn't do the final clunk. Okay, final clunk. We'll deal with the final clunk. Make the record player shut off. In a console arrangement, often the record player, when it shut itself off, it would shut the console amplifier off also. But that's not going to be the case with this one. Well, what am I doing? What am I doing? I forgot what I was doing. We're going to look at this. Yes. Maybe I didn't have a plan. Okay, hold on. Tone arm not locked. Power's off. So we're fiddling around down here. You can't fiddle around much when the tone arm is down. Okay, put the tone arm up. And I'm going to work the 12 lever. So the 12 lever is this piece of metal right here. This is one, I can tell it's the same piece of metal. The lever at the top, the record strikes right to here. And this thing is setting this part. So let's say a record comes down, strikes the thing, it goes up here. Now the next thing is the little lever lifts up, which I don't think I can imitate that. The lever lifts up. If the lever goes all the way up because there's no record there, because it's a small record, then this mechanism is probably moved to a new position. But if it goes up and feels the record, it probably stays there. So why is it not staying there? So this is just loose in here. It's possible it's supposed to be a little bit binding in here and not be quite so loose, but I don't know. Why would that be? Why could this just... There's lots of play in this. Again, gravity would be dropping it, and I'm not gravity here. What could not be working about it? So gravity pulling it down like this. Record drops, strikes the arm. The arm is knocked back to here. Then I don't know how it works from there. So if it doesn't hit this arm, then this thing stays there. And then the plunger thing works or not. I don't think I can't imitate it, can I? I can move it. I'm going to pull that lever up and down. See that little spring there? What's that supposed to do? It sticks up. Of course, again, gravity not helping. If I tip this way, well, this might be sticking a little bit. Not it doesn't really feel like it's bound. Now down at the far end, the left end, looks like there's a hole there. Is there a spring missing? Did a spring come out? As far as I know, this is working just fine, this part. Some little, like, what's it doing anyway? Something must push it. What's going to push it? This piece here. That piece that I just did is the piece that's moved modify the 12-inch lever. So I don't know. This could go on for a long time. Shooting in some WD-40 into there. I don't see it. I don't see the advantage of it. Oh, what's that little white plastic part way down there? Is that part of the white plastic lever? Yep. So I'm pulling up and down the white plastic levers. They're all sort of interrelated mechanically, of course. Wait a minute. Now up. Is there a white part that's not moving up in there? No. It's all moving. So if this comes up, there's no record there. It'll come up. It could come up this high. It's probably supposed to trap something from moving at that point. It's probably supposed to stop the tone arm. And this other lever, see, this tone arm stopping mechanism, we really haven't spotted it. And then there's this part here. Yeah, this part's supposed to move, isn't it? Oh yeah, it goes this way. Everything feels completely loose. There's just nothing here. That's, what about, no, this part's got a hook on it here. No, I don't think so. Is that part supposed to move? Okay, tone arm swinging here. Oops. Okay, here we go. I'm not going to get anywhere here. Tone arm's not moving it anywhere. Okay, let me lock it back. I think there are guys who will take a record player like this and soak it in a tank of solvent. Just put the whole thing into a container of solvent and leave it there for a while. Try to get at things that you can't really see or easily lubricate. I don't see that there's anything wrong here. This is the problem. You don't see anything stuck together. Everything is moving. The old lubrications come back to life when the WD-40 solvent is activated it again. Little springs here and there. You know, I don't know. Maybe the last guy who worked on this did something to it, and you know, I'm not going to find out what he did, no matter how long I look. For instance, a spring may be missing. Well, you know, unless I have the service manual, which, by the way, I couldn't find, I'd have to look for every spring in there. I mean, that's, you know. I somehow just don't think that's really the problem. I think the problem is it's old. Yeah, that's the problem. It's old. Old thing's no good anymore. Okay, just checking everything's good. Here we go again. What are you going to do this time? I never dealt with the snapback yet. Holy smokes, it did it! You know, there's a long list of things I fixed this way without knowing what I've done. A long, long list. Now, before I get too excited, let's just make sure it'll do the right thing at the end here. I'm going to move very slowly over the velocity sensor will pick up. It'll pick up anywhere past about this area of the record. It's ready. Better pick up, man. Come on. Let's let it do it properly. Sounds like I'm running on a high speed here. Yeah, looks like this is spinning a little fast. Maybe I have it on 45. Oh, now it's not picking up. It's one end or the other. Is it not picking up because there it goes? Sometimes these things just got to kind of go through a cycle. No, didn't quite turn off. I'll turn it off. Raise this up. We're going to put the record up. Put the record up. Drop it again. 12 inches, man. Good. Boom. Right in there. Now, will it do the trick at the end now? Come on. All we gotta do is solve this. Excellent. I don't know how, but I can make up a big story about the incredible engineering effort I had to put into this. Tremendous. But the thing is, I make these videos so people can see what I've done with their stuff. There's no hiding the truth. Yeah, it was on 45. Put it on 33. Okay, so this. And the power is definitely off. So we'll start by just watching all the levers that operate here. Maybe a little explanation before I do that. So part like this lever is doing a lot of things. So one of the things it's doing is it's activating the on-off switch. This is the on-off switch. This lever must push the little button here. Let's just work that control. There, you can see it pushing it in. So actually that's out. Okay, so that's the on-off switch right here. Okay, so we're on. Now that would have been a manual. So I pushed it. There's some linkages haven't moved here yet. Now if I go further into the reject, it'll move more linkages somewhere. We can't see it. It's up in behind, under here. It's pushing a thing forward. So there's all kinds of lubrication issues down in here, all kinds of stuff. Not too much up in here, but definitely in here. And then there's some way in which it's released, so like it should snap back to the stop position, come all the way back to here. It's probably just in this area. Another spot in here too. Okay, I'm going to lubricate those spots. I think I'm going to do it with a bit of grease. And maybe a little WD in there too. Now, this is a... Let me just fix the lighting. I'm a little over bright. This is a synthetic grease. I don't know if you can mix this up with oil. It's probably not a good idea. What did I say I was going to lubricate? Get along in the morning here. Up in there. Up in here. Up in there. Can't do it with my finger. can even be right in the actual control that's sticky, but it doesn't feel that way to me. Okay, I see another spot. Sure feels like it should work the way it is. Okay, let me just work it a bit. So look at this here. So this is connected to the idle wheel up above, and it's moving the idle wheel back and forth. This is the off position, and it's pulled the idle wheel away from the spindle of the motor. So when the unit's off, the idler wheel or intermediate wheel is not in contact with the spindle. Then when you go to operate the record player, one of the things this control does is it pushes this bar away from here, and now there's a spring pushing the wheel against the spindle in the platter. So that's the actual mechanism for protecting the... That's why you got to turn these things right off when you're done with them. You can't leave them in this position. So you can't just cut the power and leave it like this. So sometimes the switch itself gets sticky, but I don't think that can be the case here. It can't affect the mechanism on this record player. I think the action is all in here. And I'm not sure I really loosened anything up there that wasn't already loose, but let's give it a go. Apparently horseshoes are in today for me, so let's see how effective those horseshoes are. Record, please. On. There we go. Just be a little more steady here. What's happening? Good enough. 12 inch. Fantastic. It's listening to me because it's dropping right in the center of the start groove perfectly. Playing along at 33 now, but no speakers to hear it. Now we go in. Perfect. Picked up. Should shut off. Should shut off. No, don't do that. You're not supposed to do that. Let's try it again. Oh, son of a gun. Well, just like I didn't know what I did last time, I don't know what I did this time either. Let's change it around a bit. Maybe this guy just needs a lot of exercise. I didn't do the 12 thing and it still worked. It's picking up nicely. Oh, this wasn't down all the way. This hadn't set down. Now it's down. That's probably what happened here. That would mean it's working perfectly the way it's supposed to. Watch this. See if it shuts off this time. Nope. It's quite a bit holding this. You really have to push hard to overcome that. just leave the record on for now. Nah, I better take it off because I can anticipate bad things happening. How long have I been going here? Almost half an hour. Another long video coming here. Okay, yeah, I've been doing this too long, that's for sure. Why didn't this set down all the way? And this didn't go either. So it could just be lubrication here, which I haven't done yet. Just a little bit of WD-40 there. These things are always kind of wonky in how they drop. Okay, this is locked. Take a look again. Let's say, why is this thing so hard? Okay, so this is the operating position now. The mechanism has to pull it off this position and do that. Why so hard? And what is it that's actually pushing it off? What is it that actually pushes it back? Maybe this lever here. No, this lever, you can hardly see it. This lever up here. Rod that goes all the way over to here. So something has to push it. Not that. Something has to push this up. That's interesting. You get a feel for it there. Feels really, feels like it needs more lubrication. That's dry as a bone. Didn't I do that? Right in there. I did not. Okay, let's dry as a bone. The bone's dry. Oh, I just did the doctor thing. I looked away from the patient. I can't remember where I was going with this. Up here. Up here. Up here. I didn't do it with my finger. It. You know what? I can put some right in here too. That changed it. Feels a lot easier. Okay, off. Grease off my fingers here. Yeah, I gotta stop and degrease at this point. If I had the service manual, I'd probably find a page which has a diagram of the player and shows all the points that need to be lubricated. And it will probably list 4 or 5 different kinds of lubrication. So you use this here, and you use that there, and you do this here, and you do that there. Of course, I don't have 5 kinds of lubrication here. I basically have an oil and a grease, and that's as far as I take it. But if I found the manual, it could have led me to all these points instead of me just looking at them and trying to spot them. Which, as you know, I think it's, if you've done a couple of these, it starts becoming kind of obvious where the lubrication's required. Okay, Mr. Record Player, you're getting another chance to demonstrate your prowess at turning yourself off. See what kind of weird behavior happens this time. 12. Okay, all is well. Now we're going to make it shut off. Velocity. Watching that. Come on, man. You can do it. I know you can do it. Oh, I still didn't shut off. Still a lot of pressure to make it go off. Well, maybe I'm not going to solve this one. Maybe that's what's going to happen here. Okay, what happens if you try to drop a record now? It should just lift up and set back down once it realizes there's no record. Click! You know, I'm going to do that again, and this time I'm going to add pressure on you. I'm going to help it. Just put a little pressure on this knob here. Now, you know, I didn't feel a thing in there. Go again. I'm going to push it the other way a little bit. I didn't feel any attempt for this knob to go back. There's nothing pushing it back. There's nothing pushing it back. Yet you're, let me turn the, I'll give you the power on. Yet you're pushing against a spring this way because it wants to snap back to this position. Snap. The final snap never comes. The final snap never comes. Oh, I hate giving up on these things. It's just not my nature to give up. You know what I think I'm going to do? I think maybe I'm going to set this aside now. I have to go back, like this is operational. I mean, you could play records, have lots of fun, you just have to turn it off. Like almost everything else in your house, you have to turn it off when you're done. The automatic off doesn't automatically turn it off. Otherwise, it's working quite well. So I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to bring the radio back out here for the last round with the radio, which has to do with fitting Bluetooth to the radio. And so that's what I'm going to do tomorrow. After that, I'll decide if I want to carry on further with this. Maybe I can talk to the owner, and maybe they'll say, ah, it's good enough. Maybe they don't even want to play records. So that's it for today. Really close. So close. See ya.